So in the last video, I told you about the coming into power of Smerdis the imposter, the guy who passed himself as the brother to Cambyses, and and even after Cambyses realized and tried to warn the Persians that this was not his brother, the Persians could not believe him because they thought he was just being vengeful, he just wanted his brother to be hurt or to be removed from power. So they didn't buy the story that Smerdis was dead. So they continued believing the guy in the throne was Smerdis' son to Cyrus the Great. Now, but there was this one guy, his name was Otanes. Otanes was a wealthy Persian. He lived in Susa. He was one of the respectable members of society, very wealthy. Now, and Otanes was very close to the family of Cyrus the Great. In fact, one of his daughters was married to Cambyses. So he became suspicious. He was like, I don't think the guy who is our king is Smerdis, son of Cyrus. And the reason he became suspicious is because he realized that he noticed that the king never left the palace, the citadel, as Herodotus calls it. He never left the citadel. He was indoors throughout, and he also never invited the nobles of Persia to the palace to have conversation with them, like it was the tradition. The other kings will often invite the noblemen to the palace, and he will have conversation with them. This guy did not invite them, and I think it's because he knew if they came, they will clearly see that this is not Smerdis, because most of them knew Smerdis. So that made Otanes very suspicious. Now, as I mentioned, Otanes had a daughter who had been married to Cambyses. Now, during this time, it was the tradition that the king who took over after either the previous king had died or anything else had happened to them and they were no longer the king, they would inherit the wives of the previous king. So Smerdis now in power, like it was the tradition, had inherited the wives of Cambyses. And the wives of Cambyses included the ones who were his sisters. Remember, he had killed one of them. He had married two of his sisters. He had killed one. Now there was one who was called Atosa, who was still alive. Now when Cambyses died, this Smerdis guy inherited her as one of his wives, and the other wife was the daughter of Otanes. Now, the daughter of Otanes, her name was Phidima. Now, Otanes, after becoming suspicious, decided to investigate. And he reached out to his daughter, Phidima, and asked her, is the guy who is the king, of course, you spend time with him in private, is this really Smerdis? And Phidima told him, you know what, I never met Smerdis. So this is the only Smerdis I've met. So I can't tell you whether this is the real Smerdis or it's not the real Smerdis, because I never met the Smerdis, the two. So I can't differentiate the two Smerdis you are talking about. And Otanes told the daughter, now do this. Go and ask Atosa, the other wife of the king. Atosa must know whether this is Smerdis or not, because of course Smerdis was her own brother. Cambyses was also her own brother, so there is no way she will fail to know whether this is Smerdis, her brother, or not. And Otanes' daughter told him, you know what, after this guy became the king, he separated all of us, the wives, so we never meet. And that made Otanes even more suspicious, that he took this Smerdis took this step so that these women don't share information, and then information will get out that he's not the Smerdis, son of Cyrus the Great and brother to Cambyses. So Otanes told the daughter, now I need you to do this. The next time you go spend time in his chambers, want you to investigate whether he has his ears. If the ears are there, then yes, that's Smerdis. If his ears are cut, then that is not Smerdis, the son of Cyrus. The reason he told her that or used that as the test is because he knew Smerdis, the brother to the Magi, had been punished earlier by Cyrus the Great. Herodotus doesn't explain what he had done, but he said it was a very heinous crime, so we don't know what that was really, but because of it he was punished, and this punishment was the cutting of his ears, so he didn't have the ears. Now, at night, on the night that Otanes' daughter spent in the chambers of the king, she waited until he was asleep, and then she checked. And turned out he didn't have ears, so this was not Smerdis, son of Cyrus the Great. And she passed this message to her father, Otanes. Now, Otanes went and he first met 3 other guys, notable members of the Persian society. And then this group grew into 6, and these were Otanes himself, Interphanes, Gobrias, Magabesus, Asphines, Hydanis. They were 6 in a group. Now they have become conspirators. And then a 7th individual joined them, Darius, son of Hystaspes. Now this Darius is the same Darius that Cyrus the Great had dreamt that he was conspiring to take over the empire from him, and he was planning to come back and investigate him, but he died before he could do that. And that's because he had dreamt of him having wings covering Asia and Europe. So this young man shows up. He was still a young man, not very old. His father was a governor, some parts of Persia. So this young man comes. Herodotus does not tell us how he managed to talk to these people, these 6 conspirators, and they trusted him, but he tells us he joins them, and they started conspiring on how to attack the Magus and to move them from power. Now, they talk about it, and then they are trying to decide how they're going to do it, and some of them propose that they should include more people, and Darius tells them, no, don't do that, because if you do that, then you are going now to make it possible that the Magus will find out about our plans before we act, and that's not what we want to happen. And in fact, he tells them, if you're going to do that and this plan leaks, I'm going to denounce all of you. I'm going to say, like, I don't know, you guys, and then you people will suffer on your own. Remember, I'm the son of a governor. So these guys agree with him, and they're like, we are not going to expand the size of this group, and we are going to act as fast as possible. But they ask him now, Darius, how are we going to pass through the gates? And he tells them, you know what, we'll find a way. And this is the line he uses. He says, there are many things easy enough in art, which by speech is hard to explain. There are also things concerning which speech is easy, but no noble action follows when the speech is done. Basically, he was saying, you know what, it might seem difficult, but there are things you cannot explain how they can be done, but they are doable. And there are things that might seem very easy to do, but they are not done. So anyways, in the end of it, he persuaded them, and they decided to go attack. The 7 of them. They decided they would go to the palace, and they decided they were going to use the rules of Darius coming to bring a message from the province to the king. So they will use that as the excuse to pass through the gate and go in and attack the Magus. But while they were on their way, they didn't know that while they were planning to leave, something else was happening. Remember Hystaspes, the guy who Cambyses had sent to Susa to kill Smerdis, his brother? the Magus had brought him very close to them because they knew he knew the secret, because he's the one who killed Smerdis. The rest of Persia didn't know that Smerdis was dead. They thought the guy in the throne was Smerdis, the son of Cyrus the Great. So they had brought him on that day. They had organized a kind of like an event, and they were trying to use this guy to get some more credibility. So they had invited him to come and stand at the citadel, and then he will issue a speech to a crowd down and tell them about how Smerdis is the real son of Cyrus the Great, things like that. So they wanted to use him to get some credibility. And he started giving the speech, but he didn't give the speech as they had instructed him. In fact, he went on and told them, you know what, I'm the one who killed Smerdis. So the guy here is not Smerdis, he's an imposter. And after he finished the speech, he threw himself and killed, he died. So that happened as Darius and his 6 conspirators are coming to the palace. So as they come, they hear about this story, and at some point they want to not attack. They're like, this is not good because a lot of things are happening. This might make it difficult for us. But Darius tells them, no, this is the perfect moment to attack. And they continue. They go at the gate, and Darius does as he had said. He tells the soldiers he's just coming to pass some message from his father to the king, and they are let in. They are not asked any questions. But once they go inside, the eunuchs, who are like guys who took care of the things happening within the palace, see them coming, and the eunuchs are suspicious. They are like, who are you guys? What do you want? Now, the excuse that had worked with the guards seemed like it was not working with the eunuchs. The eunuchs were like more intelligent, or people who could analyze situations and be suspicious very easily. And when Darius and his friends realized that the eunuchs were becoming difficult, then they pulled out their swords and they started fighting with them. They killed them. The two Magus, the king now and his brother, were inside having a conversation about what had just happened with Hystaspes. They had the commotion and they tried coming out. One of them came out with a bow and arrow, but that could not help him because the combat was so close. And the fight happened there for a moment. Darius and some 2 of people who were with Darius got injured, one in the leg, one in the eye, but they managed to kill the 2, and then they cut off their heads, and they went with them around the city, explaining to Persians what had happened, that this was not Smerdis, this was a guy who was an imposter, and now the Persians believed them. And they realize, these people are not the real. Now there's something else I should mention that kinda should have warned the other 6 people about Darius. When they were planning to go, and Darius said, they asked him, so how are we going to pass through the gate? And he says, I will say I'm bringing a message. Herodotus, in another part of the book, tells us if there is one thing that Persians hated a lot, were lies. Like, lying was the biggest crime among Persians. Like, if you lied, it's like it was more than even killing somebody. So now here is Darius, he wants to go and lie, and they ask him. They are wondering, because it was really a major taboo in their society to lie. Like, why are you going to lie? And he tells them this: and truth must be spoken where need requires. For whether men lie or say true, it is with one and the same objective. Men lie because they think to gain by deceiving others, and speak the truth because they expect to get something by their truth speaking and to be trusted afterwards in more important matters. Thus, though their conduct is so opposite, the end of both is alike. If there were no gain to be got, your truth-speaking man will tell untruths as much as your liar, and your liar will tell the truth as much as your truth-speaking man. So this should have made the other guys. It's like Darius had shown his hand with his statement. He tells them, you know, saying the truth and lying are kind of like the same, because people do both to achieve the same goals. People tell the truth, or people lie because they think they will gain out of it, and people tell the truth because they think they will gain out of it. If somebody knows by telling the truth they will gain, they'll say the truth. If somebody thinks by telling a lie they will gain, they tell a lie. So this is kind of like his philosophy, and this will be what he does to his own conspirators, and that's what I will explain in the next video, while explaining how he came to become the king of Persia. Darius was very cunning, and this is going to become clearer in the next video.